Officers and firefighters gather in White Bear Lake to honor those killed in the line of duty. We'll show you how the community came together to host this annual event.
And first responders know how to please a crowd. They open a fleet of emergency trucks to families during the first ever Touch a Truck event.
I'm Tracy Menarchek.
And I'm Rick Current. Welcome to Lake Area Beat. Tracy, it looks like you've been all kinds of busy with department events.
Yes.
We're going to get to that, but first, have you had any free time?
No. Have you?
Very little. It's been crazy with all the events starting out with the summer, all the changes going on in both of our departments.
Yep.
I was able to get away this weekend. The wife surprised me with a trip up north, and it was just good. No phone, no laptop, nothing.
No people.
No people. But now it's Tuesday, we're back at it.
Great. And lots of events coming up. We'll talk about some of those. We're kind of at the center here of summer in White Bear Lake. All sorts of events go down in downtown, including the Farmers Market and Market Fest. And later this month, you can come out and enjoy coffee and donuts with cops.
White Bear Lake was a center of attention when it hosted the annual Suburban County Law Enforcement Memorial Service. We talked with volunteers, first responders, and survivors about what the memorial service means to them.
Community volunteers with our community emergency response team out here at every intersection and parking lot to help make sure everybody has a safe trip here to White Bear Lake.
We've been working with the police for a number of years. We get to know them, so they're never far out of our thoughts.
We're very pleased to have it. I mean, we all have a high degree of respect for our police departments and our firemen and our public service individuals, and this is a way that we can do our part of showing respect and for those officers and their families.
Today we are the greeters. If anyone has any questions, anyone has an emergency, we're here to help them out. So the sworn officers can do their job and enjoy the service, so we can just assist them in any way we can.
For attending this year's Suburban Ramsey County Law Enforcement Memorial Ceremony. It is important we recognize and pay tribute to these 9 named police police officers. We remember each for their sacrifices and we honor their memory.
Chief Walter Halsey, January 6, 1955.
I grew up without a dad, really, so, you know. I had a father-in-law, or stepdad, that kind of took the place of it, so, you know, that was good, but, yeah, I guess I really didn't get to know him, so.
Officers, present arms.
Detail, present arms.
When an officer is hurt or injured or killed, heaven forbid, on duty, it's like a brotherhood. If it happens to one, it happens to all.
Be with us now as we remember and honor the 9 men from our communities who have offered their lives in service to their communities.
It was a lot of people and a lot of different organizations, I guess, coming together and putting that together. So it was nice to see everybody there and attending the service.
Yeah, it looked like it was well attended. Fire department brought the ladder truck over, set it up with the flag. It looked very nice, so.
Yes. Phones aren't just hazardous behind the wheel. Sergeant John Betty tells us about an all too common practice proving deadly.
We've heard of distracted driving, but what about distracted walking? I'm Sergeant John Vetty, reminding folks to put your phones down and keep your heads up. Distracted walking is on the rise, and there were nearly 6,000 pedestrian deaths last year. That's similar to 2016. When you add distracted walking with the amount of distracted drivers, the results are deadly. As a society, we're losing focus of our surroundings. Please stop using your phones while walking in crosswalks, intersections, and around your house. Over half of distracted walking injuries occur in our homes. Walking is a great way to stay healthy and happy, but only if we make safety a priority. So stay safe, White Bear Lake. I'll see you next time.
Former White Bear Lake firefighter Jeff Lokes has organized countless charity events, and he's going to talk about his latest journey, 100 Miles, 100 Stories, and how it's bringing awareness to a very serious problem many people don't know about. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Tracy.
We're here talking about charities, special teams charities. Remind us how you started that.
When I was on the fire department myself, along with a few other firefighters, just kind of had the feeling like we're just going through the daily motions here. As honorable as a profession as that is, we just felt like we needed to do something a little bit more. So we came up with the idea and the name. I remember the day exactly, and we said, just for people who want to do a little bit more for the community, let's start this up. And that was about 10 years ago, and it gets a little bit stronger every year.
Wow, 10 years.
Excellent. Tell us about some of your fundraisers. I hear you got married during one of them?
That's correct. Last year in this very spot, actually, White Bear Lake was nice enough to let us use this facility here, and we couldn't get married until we filled a truck for the food shelf, and we had to use a bigger truck the day before we found out, so we were very nervous, and that ended up being a good thing because we filled that one. People could not have been more generous, and that's just like White Bear Lake has been to us, and we were able to do that and able to get married on the same day.
That's wonderful. I remember that.
Yeah.
What is 100 Miles, 100 Stories?
This has kind of been on my back burner for a few years. I work in the emergency department of a local hospital, and we see a lot of bad things there, which has been very eye-opening to me. I thought it would be a real nice profession to see nurses take care of people, and I was very naive. It can be a very violent place. We have police officers that work with us, security guards and nurses, and I've seen a lot of verbal and physical abuse. So I owe a lot to them, and they want a voice, and I feel like I have to do something because I don't think a lot of people know what goes on at hospitals. It's not a lot of things that the public would be proud of if they knew they were doing. So 100 miles, 100 stories. We're hiking 100 miles from the Canadian border going south on Superior Hiking Trail. And the 100 stories is we are interviewing people, and we're going to share 100 stories from nurses who've been physically abused, verbally abused, police officers who everyone assumes police officers are robots and they don't have emotions. But we've heard from them also saying, can you share our stories as well? Firefighter, paramedics, a lot of patients that we get that hit us because they're on drugs or drunk. The ambulance crew had them first. I've been spit at, kicked, punched, slapped, so have my coworkers. And they're the first ones that drop them off, and we all have to deal with them. And my hope is the 100 stories is the most important part. So the hike is dedicated 100 miles. Each mile will be dedicated to someone who shared their story.
You're also putting care packages together for firefighters that are deployed. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Network, who's just an outstanding organization that we work with, reached out to us because 50 firefighters that are in the National Guard also just got deployed over to undisclosed locations. These are people that are on your local fire departments out of St. Paul, Duluth, everywhere in between, and they weren't given much notice. So these are people that we all work with. We all look forward to Minnesota summers. These guys were just about to do that, and they just got sent overseas. I've been over there before. I got the care packages. They're worth their weight in gold. There's no way to explain how outstanding it is to get one. And we're sending these guys eye drops, food, just things they can't just walk to a store and get. Things that we take for granted, we're sending that over to them. So again, it's about 50 firefighters that were deployed over there very recently. So.
And like you said, we have a lot of good White Bear Lake residents and a lot of viewers that want to help. How can they help your causes? What can they do?
We of course have our Facebook page, Special Teams Charities. That's where we do most of our work. You just message us through that. We're hoping people organize through their fire departments, through their companies. We've got hospitals on board already where they're dropping stuff off, and we'll pick it up from people like we always do. And Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Network covers the cost of shipping it over there, which is quite the cost.
Wonderful.
And finally, how has this changed your life?
The charity work itself, it's been eye-opening. I've seen enough bad things happen in my life through the military, through the fire department, through the emergency room, and I want to get back in touch with the good things of life. And meeting the people that we have through charity has made it worthwhile, and it's allowed me to find the softer part of my heart. And seeing people in the hospital, how in the world am I going to complain in the emergency room when it's life-changing events for them? We get them just like you guys do at the worst moments in their life. How am I going to complain about that, doing my job? So it's let me see the softer side of life. Going through the daily motions of life is not good enough for me anymore. I want to make a difference, and if I'm not doing that, I'm not working hard enough.
And you've done a lot over the last 10 years and before that, and we appreciate everything that you've done and happy to spread the word. So
yes,
we owe you thanks for what you do. I never had a hometown growing up. I moved around a lot. Some people take that for granted in White Bear Lake. It's a new feeling for me. So I want to give back to the city that's adopted us. So thank you for what you do, more importantly.
And thank you for joining us.
To find out how you can contribute or get involved, go to Special Teams Charities Facebook page. Therapy comes in many forms, but none quite as cute as the one in our next story.
Producer Joe Cullen and photographer Brian Haitian tell us about a special program and a special pet that made national news.
Well, the whole idea is it's a non-judgmental person listening. They don't care if they don't read a word right or if they don't read loud enough. And it kind of gives them, with most of the kids, I think it builds their confidence as the reading time goes on longer. With some of the kids, they're natural with it, and the ones that aren't are the ones that maybe have some shyness issues. It's really good to see. I was a shy kid, so it's nice to see them come out of their shell.
It just kind of happened by accident. One day we were here and we saw the dogs, and then he was kind of afraid of dogs, so then I encouraged him to go in and read to Sting.
Write a letter to Sting. It's pretty fun because you actually get to read to the dogs, and they're technically just sleeping some of the time, so.
He lays there. Sometimes he'll lay on his side. Hopefully most of the time his eyes are open, so that's always a big bonus we shoot for. You get to see the kids kind of start out slowly. You can maybe just barely hear them read, and by the end, you know, they're really getting excited about it.
If you'd like to learn more about Sting or sign up a child to read to him, contact the library or the Pause to Read program. We're going to take a break, but coming up,
Backyard grilling is in full effect. We'll brush you up on all the ways to keep the heat out back and contained. Plus, somebody goes to great heights to make an impression at a community event.
there's a lot of evidence in the air that people are taking advantage of the great weather and enjoying their backyards.
Let's talk about a few easy ways to make sure we don't have to make a call to your next gathering. And we move locations to further discuss grilling and wreck fire safety. Joining me is firefighter medic Matt Wenzel to discuss these topics. We'll talk a couple things about grilling. Always make sure you're far enough away from your structure not to cause a fire. Always make sure connections on your grill are fully connected, especially on gas grills. Charcoal briquettes, make sure that they're allowed to cool naturally and in a safe place away before you put any of those warm briquettes into a bag. We've had that a lot of times where they put them in a paper bag, put them in your plastic recycle bin, and then we're at your place an hour later. On wreck fires, you do not need a permit in the city of White Bear to have a wreck fire. There are just certain rules that we're going to cover about it. The biggest important rule is you cannot burn leaves. Dry, clean wood needs to be burned. Matt, what are some other safety tips?
Yeah, some of the other safety tips, you got to make sure that you have a 3 foot in diameter area that you're burning, so your fire pit needs to be at least 3 feet, or at 3 feet. We also need to make sure that it is constantly supervised, so there's no going inside and letting it just kind of burn itself out.
Take a nap. That's
not, no taking naps.
We actually, last weekend, were dispatched to a detached garage fire that was caused by someone's wreck fire being too close. They went inside for a minute. Next thing they came out, the back of their garage was on fire. Luckily, they had the hose, which Matt will talk about, and they were able to put most of the fire out before we got there.
Yeah, so talking about that hose, you got to make sure that you have a connected garden hose ready to put that out if it starts to get out of hand, or any other kinds of means of extinguishing that fire, such as a fire extinguisher. And then also with wreck fires, we talked about you don't need a permit during the day, but it can't exceed 10 miles an hour of wind.
So if I want to burn brush and all of my garden stuff and all of that, can I ever do that?
Yes, that is allowed with a fire permit. You can find that information and all this other information we talked about wreck fires at our website at www.whitebearlake.org. Go under fire department and under burning. The wreck fire information we just talked about are there, and there's also the burning permit application for burning the brush.
Okay, good. So it can be done, but just not in that wreck fire.
Correct.
The wreck fire is just the clean wood and
correct
what you'd put in your fireplace at home, right?
Yes, and you always need to keep tabs on the DNR burning bans, red flag warnings. We've had several this year already, and that link is also on our website. Otherwise, you can go to the DNR website and look for burning ban and find that information also. But everybody enjoys a good wreck fire sitting around, so please just follow these precautions and be careful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Matt, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
White Bear Lake Dispatch has turned off its radio signal for good. 911 calls will now go to Ramsey County.
A longtime dispatcher is retiring, a bittersweet event that has her reflecting on her long career.
I enjoy being around people and dealing with people.
911 dispatcher Wendy Colucci is the calming voice people hear on what may be their worst day.
Oh, let's transfer you through.
While most others in this line of work leave after 5 years,
I think there's a burnout. There's a big burnout in this job, yes.
Wendy has stayed almost 25. She says some advice early on has stuck with her over her career.
Get a greasy back and let things slide. And that's always stuck in my mind. I don't let things stick.
Though Wendy is retiring, White Bear Lake City Council voted to consolidate with Ramsey County last fall.
There you go, you're all set. Thank you. You're welcome.
It was the last in the county to remain independent, and aging equipment and staffing shortfalls prompted the vote.
And there's the phone.
And though she's looking forward to new adventures, she's finding it hard to say goodbye to old friends.
The people. They're a good group of people here. Really good group. In fact, I'm tearing up about thinking about it now. Can't think about it.
Before we go, White Bear Lake Police hosted the first annual Touch a Truck event in Podvin Park. Families were invited out to see a display of police cars and fire trucks and learn more about our departments.
I saw pictures on Facebook.
Yes.
The event looks well attended.
It was very well attended.
A lot of vehicles.
Great response, and a great response from other agencies, departments, and some companies that gave us their vehicle for kids to climb in. It was so much fun.
I know other places, other cities that have it. It is always well attended, and the kids just love jumping in the trucks, honking the horns, doing whatever they can to see in the trucks in person.
Yeah, and most of the people that came had like free giveaway stuff, so the kids were like, woo! And then we had our fundraiser for the food truck, for the food shelf, White Bear Area Food Shelf, and they raised a ton of money and got food. They filled up their truck.
That's great. So we look forward to having that
great. Yes.
every year.
Next year, yes.
We want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Lake Area Beat. I'm Rick Current.
And I'm Tracy Menarchuk. We'll see you next time. Seriously, what is this bug? What is that?
I thought it was going to distract you, but you didn't.
You didn't see? Oh, it's a dragonfly. All right. I'm like, what is that?
That was good focus, because I thought for sure you were going to start going like this.
It came right at me. First responders gathered in White Bear Lake to honor the 9 men killed in Ramsey County in the line of duty. I'm Tracy Menarchuk.
And I'm Rick Current. We're the hosts of Lake Area Beat, our adoring fans.
I do, yes. I watch it every month. And it's a very awesome show.
Oh, looking sharp. Thanks, buddy.
We do.
Serenading you, huh?
Yeah, I just want to dance. He is doing an awesome job, and he's not even a resident here. He comes in and he serenades the people once a month, and then he does actually events too, and he does it for nothing. He's an awesome player. Glad to have him.
If they're saying nice things about me, then clearly they've received my bribe.
Well, it was time to eat. And I was hungry.
And we just live a mile and a half away.
And we only live a mile and a half away. So we keep a pretty close eye on you all the time.
It's supposed to go in like that, right?
Well, no, wait a minute. It says there. Well, you know who would know? Carrie.
I only fix computers.
Oh, we'll have Carrie fix it.
Oh, come on.
It
looks like it's broken.
Oh, there. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, this is supposed to go inside. This is supposed to fold. Yeah, that goes in like that. There you go.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
And how do
But
you,
now, where did this thing come from?
This got to go in somehow.
Okay. All right, gun permit.
permit.
Oh, this is another one of our duties.